Mary Read is the National Director of Pension and Protection Planning at Pentegra. She's a specialist in qualified tax advantage strategies for small business owners. Mary helps business owners turn a good year into a better year by keeping more of what they earn. So please, let's welcome Mary Read.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
It's a gorgeous day.
Yeah.
A little more summer, a little more. Not gone yet.
This is gonna last until December, come on.
All right, I'll go with that. I'll take that. Although those cool nights, the last few nights, make me think about it. Okay, so I'm with Pentegra. Pentegra is a third-party administrator. We administer qualified plans. We're a pretty big one. We administer almost 5,000 plans. So in the world of pension companies, that's pretty big. But what I do, I work with closely held businesses. So, qualified plans run the whole range. You get companies that have, thousands of employees who have 401k plans. And then you get all the way down to a one-person company who puts in a qualified plan to get the tax advantages. So, there's all different kinds of plans. Everybody knows 401ks, but that's only one kind. There are many different kinds of plans. So there's plans to suit every size business. So my specialty, I work with closely held businesses. So most of the plans that I'm working with business owners are really come out of a discussion with, I have a business, I'm doing well, my tax bill is killing me, I'm paying all these taxes, is there a way for me to pay less? And that's when we start to talk about a qualified plan because it's 100% deductible. So every dollar you put into the qualified plan is a deduction. So usually the biggest hurdle when we get into that conversation is, there are probably two. Most people have no idea what you can do with a qualified plan or how much you can put in or what it looks like. Some people are familiar with SEPs. I don't know if any of you have a SEP in place, which is kind of like the super simplified qualified plan where money goes into an IRA, and those are great. They're a great tool. I have one myself, so they're a great tool. But we can step up. There's a whole other world of qualified plans that do some wonderful things. So the biggest hurdle for most people is, especially when they have a SEP, is when I have employees. You may like your employees, but you may not love your employees to the point that you want to give them a lot more money than you're already paying them. So the one thing we know when we do any kind of qualified plan, right, the IRS is giving us deductions. Well, they don't give away deductions for free. Why are they giving us deductions? They're giving us deductions because they want you to have an employee benefit program. Right, so a retirement plan, a qualified retirement plan, like a profit sharing plan or a 401k plan or a defined benefit plan, from the IRS's point of view, is an employee benefit. It's a retirement plan so your employees can retire someday. That's how the rules are written. However, there's a lot of leeway in those rules, and when you know the rules, just because you put $1 in for yourself doesn't mean you have to put $1 in for your employees. That's where plan design comes into play. So, the first thing is we don't have to include everybody. We can have eligibility requirements that employees have to be there for a certain period of time, work a certain number of hours before they're even eligible to come in. And even once they're eligible, we don't always have to let them in. So it all depends on the design we're doing and what the objectives are. Sometimes we want them in, sometimes we don't. So sometimes we want this person in, but not this person in, whatever. There's lots of rules that we get to work with to do that. Our end goal is to get to each business owner's objective as closely as we can within the limits of the law. So every business is different, every group looks different. It could be one employee, it could be no employees, it could be the owner only, it could be 20 employees. Every company looks different, so everyone is a custom design. But it usually starts from, I want to save taxes. How can I, my CPA's got me every deduction they can find, can't we get any more deductions? If we do a qualified plan, even for one person, depending on compensation and age, we could do a contribution range anywhere from, at the bottom range, they could put in, a couple $1,000s, up to, if we did a defined benefit plan on somebody, let's say, who's 50, we could be putting in $200,000. So it's a pretty big scale, and where you want to be on that scale is all what the design part is about. So that's the first reason we do qualified plans. There's a second element too that a lot of people don't think about until we talk to them about it. the money that you put in, right, if you have a business and you're successful, everybody thinks like the bad thing isn't gonna happen to them, but we hope it isn't, but you never know. Not to be sad here, but yesterday was 9/11, right? I had clients on 9/11 whose businesses were just demolished, frankly. They came back, the people were okay, and all the people that I knew who had businesses down there came through and they were okay. And they rebuilt their businesses, but you know, things happen in the world sometimes, and it doesn't have to be something catastrophic like that. It could be business owner you get sick, you have an accident, you know, you have a car accident and you can't work for 3 months. You know, all kinds of things can happen in the world. So when that money's left in your business or you take it personally, if creditors come knocking on your door, they can get all of it. Sad but true. We were talking about, you know, health issues, right? I mean, if you have a health issue, which none of us want, it can get very, very expensive. I have a family member who's chronically ill. It gets very expensive. So nobody wants that. It's not like we choose that, right? You know, but if those expenses build, people come knocking on your door for the money. So the money that you put in a qualified plan, nobody can ever touch. It's protected under the federal laws. It's protected at the Supreme Court. It's been through the Supreme Court level. It's protected there. The most famous example of this is O.J. Simpson. Remember O.J.? They said he might get out of jail, right? I heard that.
Yeah, parole.
Parole. So, because they couldn't take that away from him, it's federally protected. The only people who can get at your qualified money is your spouse. Spouse has rights, and the IRS, because they make the rules. They go anywhere they want to go. So it's a very safe place to put your money. You know, so that you hope nothing bad ever happens and nobody ever comes knocking at your door. But if they did, nobody could take that money away. And we can accumulate, for example, if we did a defined benefit plan for one person, I can accumulate, under the rules, we can accumulate about $2.5 million. So we're talking like a substantial amount of money we can put in a very protected place. So that's another thing that qualified plans do. Another aspect that I work with business owners on is, great, we get the tax deductions up front. The money in a qualified plan grows tax deferred, right? There's no taxes while it's growing in the plan, so you get the full benefit of the growth of the compounding of the gross return, depending on where you've invested it. You could be aggressive or very conservative, whatever you want to do. And then we're going to take the money out. Someday the money comes out, right? This is not tax evasion. We're not going to go to jail. So we're going to pay taxes sometime. So if we roll it to an IRA, when do we have to pull our money out? 70 and a half, right? When you get to 70 and a half, the IRS doesn't care if you don't need the money. You have to start taking your required minimum distributions. So when that money comes out, it's all taxed as ordinary income. There's no way to change that. That is the rules. The rules are the rules. You could take it sooner, but you can't wait till later. You have to take it out at some point. If you don't use all the money during your lifetime, when you pass away, it goes to your beneficiary. They can stretch it now. They could take it over their lifetime.
Don't they have to start drawing out at 50?
Yeah, they have to start drawing out within a year. On a beneficiary IRA, they have to
IRA.
start an
But
IRA.
401k is 50?
No, 401k is the same deal. If it goes to your 50 is another rule. The age 50 rule is if you take your money after age 50, you don't pay the 10% penalty, even though you're taking it early. But a beneficiary, whether it's a 401k or an IRA, they either have to take it all within 5 years, empty the account, or if they start within a year, they can take it over their lifetime. So like if my 401k account or my IRA went to my 18-year-old daughter, God forbid, I'm sure she would spend it very well.
Quickly.
She would have lovely clothes. No, so she could elect to take it over her lifetime. You know, based upon the lifetime tables, her life expectancy is probably 80-something. So she could draw it down like that, but she would have to start within a year. She doesn't get to put it off until she hits 70. Only a spouse gets to do that. So, you know, from the IRS's point of view, they're giving you tax advantages because they want you to save. They want people to save for retirement, which we're really bad at in this country. But they want people to, but they're going to make you use it during retirement. You can't just use this to accumulate wealth forever to pass on, and they don't want you to use it like a savings account where you just take it out whenever you want. So there's these rules that are built around it. There's a strategy that we do to get that money out. every dollar that comes out is taxed as a dollar, right? So if I take $1 out, whatever my income tax, whatever my personal rate is, and federal and state at that time, I'm gonna pay that tax rate on it. But if I don't take it as cash, we use life insurance in qualified plans for a lot of reasons. You can buy life insurance in qualified plans with pre-tax money. So if you have a need, for whatever personal reasons for life insurance, it's a less expensive place to buy it. So we have lots of plans that have life insurance in them, but also we can use insurance to distribute the money. There's a wonderful rule that the IRS wrote that said when you have life insurance inside a qualified plan, right, and what goes inside a life insurance policy? Cash, right? You pay premiums into a policy. If you buy a policy that builds up cash inside it, right, as you pay your premiums, permanent insurance, not term insurance, and any money you pull out of that policy, you can take loans, right, and use the money as income tax free. That's one of the great things about life insurance. But when we buy it inside in a qualified plan, same thing is happening. We put premiums into the policy, so we're putting cash into that policy. But the unique part when we do it in a qualified plan, when we distribute that policy out of the plan, right, we're done with the plan, whatever, we're going to keep the life insurance, so it goes from being owned by that plan to being owned by you, by the person who's insured. That's a taxable distribution because it came out of the plan. But if we had given cash, let's say we had $100,000 in that policy. If we had distributed the $100,000 from the plan as cash, you pay tax on $100,000. If we give you a policy that has that $100,000 that we've put into it, there are different rules about how it's taxed. And under the IRS rules, it's taxed. There's a calculation you do, it'll be taxed at about 60 or 70%. So instead of paying tax on the $100,000, I'm only going to pay tax maybe on $70,000. But I still have the $100,000 that's in the policy. It's just the way the rules are written. So it can be a really nice strategy for people to reposition that money to get that tax bill down when it comes out. Now you still have all the money, it's in the policy, and then after that point, all the growth in the policy is income tax free. People can pull the money out of the policy income tax free. We have a death benefit, income tax free. So we've taken advantage of the tax deductions up front, moved it out on a tax advantage basis, and now have everything tax-free. So it makes a really nice combination to put the pieces together. Not for everybody, but it can be a really nice solution for people. So I'm going to give you a handout. It has actually a sample of that. It also has an example of the tax play on a qualified plan, how it can save you taxes so you can look at it. And, so that's just kind of my quick overview. We do a lot of plans with all kinds of businesses from one person up. They're just great tax tools. Everything I do with business owners comes from a tax planning viewpoint. We're trying to save taxes. I don't know anybody who wants to pay more. I pretty much know lots of people want to pay less. So that's what we try to do. So I'll give you these and I'll thank you and I'll turn over the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.